your cell phones. Coach will begin with a brief opening statement, and we'll go to questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Coach, whenever you're ready.
We're looking really well looking. We're kind of under the, I'm not going to say the flu bug, but banged up a little bit. We don't know exactly where some of the guys are as far as the injury report. We're going to be meeting with a lot of those guys later on tonight with the doctors, because the doctors have to work their full days at their hospitals, and in the afternoon they'll get here. And then sometime tonight we'll kind of know where some of those guys that are banged up are at. As far as that goes, Florida State, very explosive football team. Cam Akers is one of the top backs in the ACC, and rightfully so. The guy literally breaks a lot of tackles by himself. It's really hard for one guy to bring him down. Blackman's doing a nice job with their offense. Terry, the receiver, is really good. Their defense is extremely large. Big people on the inside, very difficult to move in the run game. Corners are very talented. Safeties are big hitters. So they are a defense full of 4 and 5 stars, guys that have played a lot of football against us, or guys who have played a lot of football at Florida State and have waited their turn to become a starter. Big task going down there. I'm not sure if we've ever won down there. Guessing how things have been going, the answer is probably no, but you analytic guys can tell me. But we're going to go down there with some hungry guys and see if we can come back with our first ACC win. Questions?
Stephen?
Obviously talked a lot about the offensive line. I kind of like to ask you about the coaching. It's kind of been behind the scenes. How would you kind of evaluate the job Mike Kavanaugh and assuming Mike Lynch have done? Can you walk me through what it's been like? You obviously expected growth after at least 46 coming out and seeing that. How do you evaluate the coaching and how to come on with that?
I'm not going to evaluate the coaching in a public spectrum. You know, anytime we talk about stuff like that, that stuff is private stuff. But those guys are all working hard. There's two ways to make sure you got to have growth. The coaches have to be doing the things that give the kids an opportunity, and the kids have to receive it. And not happy with the growth, but I think there's a lot of reasons for that.
Mark?
Can you expound on the reasons for that? It's giving up 17 sacks the last 2 games. I think you mentioned after the game that everyone's job is in jeopardy or on the line.
Absolutely, it's been moved around. Some of those sacks are on kids just not targeting correctly. You know, you have to have more than one protection. And you call one protection A and protection B, and you got a kid doing protection A when they're supposed to be doing protection B. It means the guy's running in and no one's blocking him. He's just running in. And then you've got opportunities where you've got wide receivers not doing the things that they're supposed to do, or a quarterback not doing what he's supposed to do. So it's all spread out. To put it on one position is always something that you got to be careful of, especially when you go back and watch the tape. But the thing that we need to do is we need to grow. And we're not growing fast enough for me. Okay, and we need to put an emphasis on that.
John?
On Saturday, you kind of mentioned maybe seeing some new faces at some point. We're just curious if that's more of a practice thing, with guys getting reps with the ones in practice and kind of pressing out, or if you're actually anticipating on Saturday we'll see some.
I think it might be both. I mean, obviously we're going to do some things differently in practice. These more people are going to get more opportunities, and what they do with those opportunities in practice will let us know whether they're going to get an opportunity in the game.
Have they been getting those opportunities as the season's not been going on, you think, or is it more of a shift now?
What was the last thing you said?
Like, is it more of a shift to guys getting more opportunities in practice, specifically this week, than they've gotten in the past?
You know, at certain positions, it's really important for the continuity of things to be working with a certain group of guys next to you all the time, because that's the best way to do it. Now I think we're at the point where we're willing to break up that continuity to make sure that we have the right people in the right spot.
In the middle?
After watching the tape, what did you like from Clayton? What still work?
Say the last part again.
What did you like from Clayton's performance after watching the tape, and what still needs a little good work?
Well, he didn't have a complete game. Let me start with the back part of it. There's obviously things he needs to do better. But I thought from him getting in there for his first full body of big work, I thought he did a nice job. You know, obviously he It was the second longest pass play in the history of Syracuse football. Now, that's kind of interesting. But, you know, he did good things and he did bad things. The things you got to remember once again is anytime you get a backup quarterback in a game like that, and then he's going to play his next game, they don't have any tape on him in the first game. They have tape on him in the second game. And the more tape, the more you play, the more people have a book on you, and you can't stay the same. If you stay the same, they're going to run you down. You have to continue to get better. And hopefully he will.
Matt?
Dino, I know the results haven't been there in recent weeks, but do you feel like the effort is there? And with that effort, you feel like you can be an effective coach?
I do. I look at, I don't think the guys have quit. You know, that line that people try to say all the time, we've been in all the games. Okay, I don't think there's a game we've been out in the ACC that we've been out of. And I'm proud of that part. But, you know, being close is, you know, some people think that's really cool, but we're not in it to be close. You know, everybody here wants to get a win as much as the next guy, and we're going to do whatever we've always done, or we will change and do some things that we've never done to try to find a way to find that first win.
Nate?
What's your assessment of the landscape of offensive line recruiting nowadays? I mean, a lot of the talent, like most positions, is situated farther south. So, what are the challenges of recruiting that position?
See, I really believe when it comes to the Northeast, that's one of the positions that you can get good players at. Now, I do think that there's a lot of schools in the Northeast that are battling for a lot of the same guys, but traditionally over the history of this game, some of the better offensive big guys and better defensive big guys have come from the Northeast. I don't think that's one of the downfalls of this area. I do think we need to, it's a position that has a lot of opinions, and you're really judging, and I'm saying offensive line and defensive line when I say this, is that you're judging big guys playing against little guys. When you're a 6'5" guy in high school, 260 pounds, you're not playing against, you may play against one guy as big as you. So they're always pushing around smaller people. And they really don't get to see people their size until they step on a college university and everybody looks like them. And then you really kind of find out where they're at a little bit going against people their own size. And I think that's where some people may have misses. But you've got to, there's things that you can do to try to eliminate those misses to make sure that you're right more than wrong and that they're good more than bad.
You feel like you missed a lot?
I do not, I'm not saying that. What I do feel like is that we've got a bunch of young guys that are playing a bunch of older guys, and they need to continue to develop. The same people that you're talking about now, in a year or two, could be one of the best O-lines in the ACC because of how much they've played together. And that's where the expectations, I thought, was a little bit unfair, but from the 2018 to the 2019. That offensive line in 2018 was legit. You had guys that had played a lot of college football, and they were grown cats. They could walk down the street by themselves, and people didn't bother them. Okay, and you just got to wait for some of these guys to grow up. They're 18 and 19. They're not 21 and 22.
Mark?
So on the depth chart in this handout that we're given, Tommy is listed as a starting quarterback. Can we assume from that he is no doubt healthy enough that he would or should be able to start?
I wouldn't assume anything with the medical stuff that's come out this year. I wouldn't assume anything. But if he's able to go, we're going to play him. I mean, he's our best guy. If he's not, we'll play somebody else. The one thing I don't want to do is ever put anybody out there that's hurt. I'm not going to do that. So if they're good, they're good. If they're good and they get hurt, then we'll play somebody else.
Steven?
Has your outlook on redshirting McKinley Williams changed since last 3 weeks ago?
Again, that's, I'm not going to talk about that because that's kind of house stuff. And we're going to keep evaluating it. It's a good question to keep asking, but right now I'm not going to talk about it.
Is he, he's on the walking boot, but has he been cleared to practice?
He has not practiced with us yet.
Matt?
Dino, I think it's got to be somewhat unique that Florida State has a bunch of 4- and 5-star recruits, yet they've struggled quite a bit the last couple of years. Does that kind of go to show that recruiting is kind of a crapshoot?
recruiting's always been that way. And if you could, the hardest thing about a recruit, the hardest thing about any person is that what kind of heart do they have inside? And how much do they really love what they're doing? How much do you really love what you're doing? You know, somebody can be okay at your job, but if they don't have a great love for it, when it gets hard, when it gets tough, when it's a hurricane outside and someone's got to go out there and do the news, how much do they really want to do it? And I think that's the biggest thing about recruiting. And if we could judge that, if we had something that could judge that, we'd probably be making a lot of money doing a lot of other stuff. But recruiting's interesting, and but I enjoy it. I think that the longer you're in, and the more you get to meet people, they give a certain aura, and if you get the green lights, that you go on. If you get the yellows and the reds, you better do more homework. And you're not going to be right all the time. You just have to be right most of the time.
Time for two more questions. Mark?
So last week, you were talking about how you were excited about the second half of the season and to see where these guys were. What did you see in that game against Pittsburgh that either changes that or enforces that feeling? And how do you kind of keep these guys from not letting it spiral that way?
Well, the first thing is get them to start listening and staying in-house. I just think that the expectations of some of the things were unrealistic. Now, that being said, I really enjoyed watching some of those guys out there. Clayton, on that was a free safety blitz. The first play they didn't blitz him. The second play on the 5-yard line, they blitzed him. Like, who would take their backup quarterback on the 5-yard line and tell him to throw a deep ball? I mean, that guy's got to be crazy. And he catches it. There goes the free safety coming down. He sees him coming. He backs up 2 more steps to give himself a little bit more time. Changes the elevation on the deep ball. You know, he didn't throw it flat like a rock skipping across a lake. He changed the elevation because he knew he had to give the receiver time to find it. Now, the receiver has to understand that when he did that little extra move, that it was going to be up there, and the receiver looks it and finds it. I mean, there was a lot of, we call it rule number 3, and I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. Hopefully, you'll probably find it out from one of my players. But it was a lot of rule number 3 on that. And I was really excited to see him do that. Now, he didn't do everything right, but that one play was really cool to see. To see Chris Elmore, okay, to see him get his first tackle for loss, playing both ways on both sides of the ball and making a big play right there. That was good stuff. That was really good. And Josh Black played a nice game. He's been around a lot, but a lot of people don't notice the game that he plays inside. And Josh Black is playing at a high level of football for us. So there was a lot of good. I thought Abdul Adam had a cut block that was classic. I mean, absolutely A+ on it. And he's done that before. But to see him completely executed exactly the way it was demonstrated in camp in August and have that show up in a game, those are the type of things that we're looking for. There was positives, there was negatives. When we talked about it on Sunday in here, we showed them all that stuff we showed them all the stuff. We show them the good and the bad, how close they are to winning, and how this much, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's huge when you got 105 people doing a little bit more. And I don't think we're going to fall apart. I think we're going to come closer together, and we need that first break. And we don't know where it's going to happen, but we're looking to the horizon, and we have the faith that it's going to happen.
Last question, Andrew.
Sort of when we played, we created a little bit of a run game last weekend. Like you said, there's tape on him now, so that might not be just like a quick play and open up the run game. Do you have anything else you're sort of looking at to open up the run game? Any sort of ways to maybe more specifically know and do the passing game, same as the run game? Sort of how are you sort of approaching that and keeping that open?
You got like the entire state of Florida and Tallahassee waiting for my answer on that. You know, this is what we need to do. As coaches, we need to try to find ways to put our best players in position to help us win, whether that's offensively, defensively, on special teams. And then when you put them in that situation, you have to hope, okay, and have faith that they're going to execute. The first play of the game, that play was, we watched that, I don't know how late at night. We're saying, we're going to have a chance to score a touchdown on the first play again. And we didn't tell the players that because we don't want them to to have all that energy on that play. But that play happened exactly the way we thought it was going to happen. The throw was where we thought it could be, and I can say the young man dropped it, but that's not like him. That's a happening. I mean, for him to drop a ball like that, I'm not going to get mad at him, because over the long haul, his percentage is extremely good, okay? So it was unfortunate, but that's what our job is, to go back and find those situations. Evan Foster with the opportunity to get the interception. We didn't know that was going to happen. That quarterback never saw him. He was in the exact same situation that Tommy DeVito was in versus Clemson. He never saw him. He didn't try to throw that ball through Evan. He literally didn't see him standing there. And if Evan catches it, it could be a different game. You know, so football is fun to me because all this stuff comes into it. You guys really think, oh, he's sitting there and he's just, no. It's exactly the opposite. I get excited because that stuff is fun, and that stuff is football. And that's what makes our game so great, that it's like that. And that, watch this, and that good guys on people's teams can get hurt. Okay, not the sick part of it, but now other guys have to step up and come in. And as a coach, that's why you have to coach your entire room, because you never know when the next guy is going to be up. And that energy and that camaraderie and that staying together and having faith, belief without evidence is what, to me, is what makes football football. So we're excited about our opportunity. You know, it might be a David versus Goliath type situation, but last time I checked the history books, I think it happened once. You know, maybe it might be able to happen again. Thank you, guys.
Kevin, any questions on that?